Well, I think one of the things that has happened that I think has been greatly beneficial, that the exposing of the Twitter files and the making it public, where like especially that we were talking about this last night at the club, that woman who was like calling Matt Taibbi a so-called journalist.
She called us both that, by the way. Yeah. Yeah.
Hilarious.
Yeah.
Like, what is a journalist to you? Someone who says things only that you agree with?
Well, and you know who, and we talked about also what a powerful projection it was, because she's a non-voting representative from the Virgin Islands.
Yeah, which is the
somebody points out right. She's their so-called representative.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, calling Matt Taibbi, like, who is so decorated, a so-called journalist, and the fact that he got to rattle off all the awards in journalism that he's received. Yeah, I mean It
shows what their concern is. Their concern is around status.
Well, I want to know who the fuck talked to her. I want to know who boosted her up and got her to say those things.
Oh, yeah.
To say it that way. Like, what was the conversation? Someone should get into her fucking emails. I'd like to know, like, what conversations were you privy to? Like, what did they say to you?
Well, it's also Debbie Wasserman Schultz, who's famous for
insider
trading, derailing Bernie Sanders' bid to become... You know, so they're just, it's all pot calling the kettle black.
Well, it's also the shittiness in which they communicate with these people who are just exposing something that everyone should be aware of because it's a real problem. Right. And what Twitter is and what Facebook is and Instagram and all these social media platforms, these are our new public squares. And we need some sort of an understanding of the significance of censorship in regards to what kind of an impact it's going to have on our life, a real life world. Like, how many people who got censored off of Twitter, it's radically changed their life, radically changed for wrong reasons, changed the progression of their future. I would imagine a lot, quite a few. And also deeply humiliated them and probably ostracized them in certain social circles. Right. Here comes Mike. He got banned from Twitter. Yeah. Like, what did he say?
Oh, yeah.
He said, only women have vaginas.
Like, Megan Murphy.
Yes. Yeah.
But men aren't women. Yeah. Vagina, saying to the
I love it that she said that to her. Yeah. Like, after she got back. Yeah.
No, and she's still mad about it. Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah. She's mad
my
about
friend.
it. Yeah.
I had her on the podcast when she was banned because I was talking about her before she was banned before she was brought back, because I had heard she was banned for this. And so that was the ultimate Streisand effect. Like, I took this woman who is this obscure journalist who got banned for disagreeing with trans activists, and I brought her in front of millions of people. I'm like, what happened?
Amazing.
Tell me what happened. And multiple times she's been on.
Amazing.
And so now, she's back on the platform, and, now people get to... She's a brilliant woman. And she has some really good points. And her point about trans activists, like, you are trying to silence biological women, but you're bringing in these biological males into these traditionally women's spaces, and they're calling themselves feminists, and she's like, that's not real. Like, this is not what's happening here.
Absolutely. I mean, it's interesting that the people that are trying to kind of put everybody down, you're the deplorables, or you're the so-called journalists, or just all of the insults, they're coming from people who have just been the worst bootlickers their entire careers, suck-ups, brown-nosers. They are so proud of having sucked up for so long that they're deeply threatened by people who are actually challenging the status quo.
Well, that's the mainstream journalist's approach to the internet journalist. Yes. When you have people like Crystal and Sagar from Breaking Points who are like beholden to no one. Right. Like, what?
They
what
hate
kind
it.
Of fucking chaos? And also they have a subscription-based service, so they don't even need advertisers? The fuck is going on here? Like, who saw this coming? No one, right? Before Substack, there was never a place where someone like a caliber of Matt Taibbi or Glenn Greenwald could post and millions of people could read their stuff, and it could make international news. Oh, yeah. Just like a Washington Post article, just like a Boston Globe article.
Well, they're envious too, right?
Of course, they should be.
Like, here you have to you go to work. I mean, if you work at one of those traditional news outlets, you go to work every day. You're not able to publish and write. You write something, the editors sit on it. My friend Nellie Bowles, who's married to Barry Weiss, when she was at the New York Times, like, you'd write a story and then you'd argue with editors for weeks, and then maybe they'd publish a thing that was like half its original length and has been completely wokeified. So they don't have they're jealous of the freedom that people with free speech have, and they want to stamp it out.
100%, and it's it's a threat to the choices that they've made.
The good thing is that they're blind to it, and so they end up doing what they did to us in that hearing. Because it was kind of like, I remember we were just laughing, and I was like, do they realize how bad they look? They didn't. They thought they were super clever. I don't know if you saw, they put a photo up of you with Matt.
It was
Did you
amazing.
see that?
Yes.
Yeah.
I look high as fuck too. It was hilarious. I must have been sleepy that day because like the photo that they chose makes me look like, oh.
Yeah.
But the idea that they're connecting me to him, and so with his giant photo that somehow discredits.
Yeah.
They don't understand the landscape.
No,
they really
lost
don't.
the plot. They've lost the plot.
They have a bubble. They have like this ideological echo chamber that they exist in.
Yeah.
And they think that like holding a photo, oh, you were on the biggest program in the world? What are you, a piece of shit?
Yeah. No, for sure. Well, I mean, look, I mean,
but it's really funny. It's funny to watch, and this transformation from the world of these corporate-owned distributors of information to independent people that people actually trust, that don't have any sort of like weird connection to executives and producers and all these other people that have a vested interest in pushing a narrative that is established by the advertisers.
You sound optimistic.
I am in that. Well, I knew something was going on when Howard Stern started criticizing podcasts. I was like, that's hilarious. This was like a long time ago. Like, why fucking idiots wasting their time? Like, there's losers do podcasts. Like, oh, you're threatened.
Threatened by it.
Because you're stuck on satellite.
Right.
And satellite only goes to places where the satellite reaches. Like, it doesn't even work in tunnels, man.